Last time we talked to you, you said you wanted to see separation from the cornerbacks. Is anyone separating in that group?
It's still super competitive. Starting off, I think everyone's going to play, and we're going to give everyone the opportunity in the game. But it is starting to shape itself out more.
How nice is this year where you're not playing in LSU? No shade against the first opponent, but it's almost like an extension of training camp a little bit. It allows you to do more things.
You still got to take the opponent serious, and you have to keep these guys locked in. But, hopefully we get a chance to play some of these young guys. Hopefully we get them in games early so we can see what they can do when we get into Big Ten games.
Speaking of young guys, at this point, I know you talked about Alex Graham kind of standing out. Would you be confident? I know he's played at nickel. Would you be confident him stepping into the starting lineup right now, given that he is so young?
Yeah, so he's been in there with the one some. We've put him in the slot. He's played some safety. He's a guy we're moving around, but we feel confident enough in him as far as trusting that he knows what to do, but also his ability that he can go out there with the ones.
How does Kamari show his intelligence?
He shows it just really by how he's taken it another step each year. This is his third year in the scheme, and I always tell guys it's kind of like math. Like if you go from algebra to algebra 1, now you're in algebra 2, there needs to be a progression, you know what I mean? And he progresses every single year. You're able to put more stuff on his plate. You see him understand the game more, so it's been cool just for me as a coach to sit back and kind of see it evolve.
Jason has missed a little time.
Yeah.
Given how close that competition is, how much has that sort of affected his ability to kind of show you guys what he can do?
He was out there for a couple weeks. He's been banged up. We'll get him on the field sometime next week, but not having him out there is hurt. But again, it's a lot of other guys to get extra reps. But when we get him healthy, we need to get him caught up to speed.
You mentioned Desmond's kind of safety background helping him, but guys who play in space in high school, it doesn't always translate when they get in the box. What is it about him, and how do you know if that's going to work for a guy?
When we put him at Mike in the spring, it was, of course, there's things that are new. There's a learning curve, but the one thing you didn't have to teach him was the instinctual stuff, and that's the stuff that I think has to come natural to a certain extent. And he has great instincts in the box. He sees things fast. He processes, and then all the other things you've just seen him get better and better and better.
Who are the defensive linemen in the middle who you still want to see what they have in terms of can they play against Big Ten opponents? Who's still got something to prove?
We still want to see Ja out there more. Keyshawn's done great, but again, he's been in and out, so just having him out there more, and a guy like Floyd. Floyd has flashed a lot, but with Floyd, it's just going to be consistency.
Jake?
You've had some practices at the Coliseum and others off-site. Just why is it important, especially for the younger guys, to get out of these four walls and into different environments?
Just to see the stadium, to know what stretch is going to be like, to just get that feel, so you're not in that stadium for the first time on game day. So we'll go through things like what's it going to be like for pregame, what's halftime going to be like, what's the locker room like, just so on the game day there's nothing new.
So you do like the full routine?
We do, yeah.
Have you seen Braylon Conley step up since your arrival?
Consistency. He's a guy that flashed early. He made a lot of plays, but he was very, very up and down. And you've seen his bad plays have gotten better and better and better. And he's been super, super consistent. And then he's actually just flashed physicality as far as just getting off blocks, trusting him more as a tackler in open space.
Given how many guys you have in that room, do you anticipate rotating quite a bit, or especially early?
We do, especially early on. We want to get guys reps. We want to keep guys fresh, and we really want to find out what type of depth do we have by the time we get into the Big Ten.
What have you seen from Carlin Jones this camp?
It's been good to actually get him on the field consistently. He's been a guy, again, that's been in and out, and when he's been in for short bursts, he's shown things that excite you, but then he's right back out. So this has been the longest he's been on the field. And, there was a little rust at first, but right now he's playing awesome.
What have you seen from Jaden Ramos? He kind of stood out during the scrimmage. What have you seen from him so far?
He has a natural ability to get after the quarterback. There's some things from a physicality standpoint that we need to improve on, and he is. But as far as just his natural ability to rush the passer, he's very good at.
Today obviously has a lot of athleticism.
Yeah.
Where have you seen him maybe separate coming into this second season compared to his first?
less in mental errors. You know, he has a way better understanding of the defense. You actually see him making checks now. You see him helping out other guys, whereas before with him it was just trusting that he knows what he's going to do.
Who's a player that's impressed you with their leap from this time last year to now?
Cam Fountain. You know, just looking back at this time with him, you know, not knowing how much he was going to play in the fall, how he was struggling picking up the scheme, and just how he really just had a positive attitude every single day. He improved every single day, learned from his mistakes. And when you look at him right now compared to this past year, on and off the field, he's like a completely different person.
Where was the turning point for him, just in terms of the defense clicking?
I think when we had to play him more in the fall, he went out there, and there's just something about being out there on game day where you just think less and you just play. And you're going to make mistakes, but just make them like full speed.
When he goes out there for the first time and he's kind of swimming like that,
Yeah.
are you expecting
expect
mistakes at that point? Or are you thinking like,
yeah, you expect it as a coach. You know there's going to be mistakes, but again, it's about like how bad are those mistakes? Like, are those mistakes resulting in explosive plays? Like, how bad do they hurt the defense?
Coach, it's your third year as a college defensive coordinator, third fall camp. How do you feel like you've improved as a coach in the 3 years?
I feel like I've gotten a better understanding of the kids and how to teach the kids. You know, in the NFL, you're dealing with pros, and you're trying to maximize each individual. When you get down here, you're really the foundation for everyone. You have to assume that everyone in the room knows nothing. So I feel like each year I just get better and better as a teacher.
Let's do one more. What have been your biggest takeaways from the offsite practices, especially the more recent ones?
As far as
Just like preparedness, especially for like different environments, road environments.
yeah, I think just the more we can expose our guys to different environments outside of this, just the more comfortable they'll be.
Thank you, Coach.